Hey there, this is Matt with State of Flux here with a review for Mission Impossible 2. This is the second Mission Impossible movie, and for most people, this is their least favorite. I do feel like it's relatively on par with the first movie, though the first one is a considerably better made movie, and should, in all intents and purposes, be a better film. However, this one at least is a little more visually interesting, I think, than the De Palma film, because John Woo, simply put, knows how to shoot action. This is probably the best quote-unquote action film of the year 2000, which is kind of a sad state of affairs for the year 2000, in my opinion. I do think that the first act of this film, like the first 30 minutes, is absolutely incredible. It is so good that I was convinced, and every time I watch this film, am convinced that I'm watching the superior Mission Impossible, but really it falls apart once you hit that half-hour mark, similar to the first one, where it meanders. And while the big action set pieces are big and certainly like action-y, there's a lot of gun-fu gunplay going on that John Woo really knows how to shoot. There's nothing quite as memorable as like the descending scene from the first movie or the big train like fiasco at the end of that first movie. So I do think that the first movie kind of takes the lead when it comes to quality between the two pictures. That said, Tom Cruise is a good hero in this film. However, this is still before he really commits to the bit of trying to die on film for us, and there's a lot of heavily choreographed action scenes, fistfights, and gunplay, so that the Tom Cruise of it all doesn't really buoy the thing like happens with basically the entire rest of the franchise. So you're left with strong characters, and the characters in this aren't necessarily the strongest. Sure, you get Thandie Newton, who is pretty good in the film as the sort of femme fatale of it, but she's her character is kind of forgotten about for the last act in any meaningful way. This is about the potential spread of a global virus or whatever, and that the two seems like a less compelling MacGuffin. Sure, this film is bigger, but it's never really ever better outside of that first half hour, which I think is a great, tremendous short film. The other character that they bring back is the Ving Rhames character from the first movie, and he has about as much screen time in this. However, he doesn't get to really take ownership in this franchise until some of the later installments, but it was nice seeing his return. There's also a brief Anthony Hopkins in this film, which is always a delight. However, his character is all but forgotten for all the subsequent sequels, making this one feel so detached from the entirety of the rest of the franchise. It is never referenced again, in fact, to my knowledge anyway. That being said, it's an okay movie. The action is pretty good. However, John Woo really doubles the fuck down on like the ripping the face off, the face mask thing, to the point where this is like mask face off, and face mask off. Let's put it that way. But yeah, the movie's okay. If you're a hardcore fan of this franchise, you might get some kicks out of it. Otherwise, it's pretty passable. Or skippable, in my opinion. Hans Zimmer steps in to do score, and while the score is certainly louder, it's never as good as anything that Danny Elfman had in the first one. But I think the quality of the two movies are relatively even. That first one maybe just edges it out slightly because you had a much stronger filmmaker at hand. However, if you're coming to this film for the sake of action, this one will edge that one out, certainly. So, anyway, that's where I land. I'm excited to explore Mission Impossible 3, where the franchise really starts getting good. I give this movie a 2.5 out of 4 stars. It's fine. Let me know what you think of this one in the comment area down below. Most people dislike this movie, so I'm prepared to hear a lot about that. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.